You're listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast, talking TV shows and movies in easily digestible chunks. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and other assorted gender assignations. Welcome back to the Bored to Death Bingecast. I am Jay Winger, being joined by
Sam.
And we are back for our My Hero Academia Season 3 Bingecast.
Oh, yeah.
So they're at summer camp, essentially.
Yeah.
Getting, well, less summer camp, more like boot camp.
Summer boot camp.
Summer boot camp. Their teachers and a team of pro heroes are putting them through hell, basically.
We didn't mention this, that Eraser had set this up as an entire semester crunched into a week.
Yeah. And they're feeling it, because they're working them to the point of exhaustion every day.
And making them make their own food.
And making them make their own food, too. So it's like, you can't even relax after you're done, because you still got to work and make food for yourself and all your classmates. And there was a comment that we noted in the last binge that I forgot to bring up when we were doing our discussion. I actually wrote down our little exchange because it was so funny that it got me laughing. But the villain Dobby made a comment about how it's going to be a bright new future for this world, and my comment on that was just pretty sure the future Shigaraki has planned ain't that bright. And your response was,
it's going to be plenty bright when it's on fire.
Yeah, bright because it's on fire was your comment, and I just started laughing. I was like, hold on, pause it. I got to write that down, and then I forgot to mention it. Damn it.
We worked it in.
Yeah, we worked it in, so it wasn't all for naught. So the villains have started attacking the League of Villains Vanguard Action Squad, which we've seen 7 of them. We don't necessarily they have not officially revealed the names for all of them yet. You mentioned a couple of the ones that didn't get named.
Mustard and, I think, Muscular.
Muscular and Mustard. Muscular, I don't know that they actually mentioned his name.
They did his real name, but not his...
But not his, not his villain name. And Mustard, we've only seen glimpses of. We haven't. They have not officially confirmed his name yet in the series. But there's still 3 more that we haven't seen yet. And there's the fact that there is a leak somewhere in the UA administration.
I'm sure there's a lot. They use that for cooking. I'm sure Lunch Rush uses those.
I'm just staring at you because I refuse to react to that pun. You can't see this. You can't see this stupid smile on his face. This is one of those things where it's like if we had a camera, it would just be me staring at you while you give me that smile. Yeah, just zoom in slowly on that smile. And then just pan over to me, just being like... And Deku is now broke... he broke himself fighting Muscular.
But not fully. He only super broke his right arm, and his left arm got smashed by Muscular.
Muscular broke his left arm, and then he used 200% smashes with
100 and 1,000.
No, it was 100, and then 100 slightly weaker because the arm was already broke, and then he went 1,000,000% Delaware Detroit smash. Which just reminds me, I know that there is some move coming up in some future point when All Might faces off against All for One again. I know about it because it was all over the internet, I think, when the fight took place, and he used some move called the United States of Smash, and I'm just like, I am curious, but I was like, nope, don't watch it because you're going to be watching this series later with Sam. But at any rate. So, the students are all basically separated. Aizawa, who was their best chance at being able to neutralize all of the villains' quirks, has been taken out by Dobby. One shot in the head with blue fire. One of the Wild Wild Pussycats is missing. Another one's been knocked out. And the third one is trying to stay away from Magna and Spinner.
Yeah.
And like I said, we still haven't seen all of the Sam just showed me a GIF somebody drew of of Deku like smacking Ochaka on the bum. United States of Smash. Happy July 4th. God damn it.
I'm gonna help myself. I've seen it before.
Yeah, it's just I mentioned United States of Smash, and you were just like.
I was like, wait a minute.
But so yeah,
There's actually a statue for the actual United States of Smash.
I'm sure there is.
I'm like, I kind of want that.
But yeah, so stuff's looking bleak, but I imagine it's not going
to show you that to raise your spirits.
But yeah, so let's get down to it. So we'll be back after the binge. While the binge is happening, thanks for listening to our podcast. Please give us a like and subscribe and spread the word. You can reach us on social media on Facebook or Twitter at BTD_Bingecast. The Bored to Death Clan is part of the CKCC Radio podcast family, including J Bunny's Music Hub, the Race Nerd Podcast, Real Paranormal Talk, Ranking Tracks, Motivational Moves, Girls Who Like, and The Nerd Table. Please consider supporting CKCC Radio on Patreon. And now, the binge is done, so let's get to the discussion. And we're back. Shit got real. Shit got real.
Real quick.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned while we were watching this. Tomura Shigaraki, he comes across like a petulant child, but he learns, and he learns quick.
Oh yeah.
It's not really any wonder why they are setting him up to be like the real bad guy of the series, even though All For One has been mentioned as like this supremely powerful villain, and we'll be getting to talking about him in a little bit. But turns out, during the summer camp arc, the villain's goal was to capture Bakugo because Shigaraki believed that Bakugo's violent tendencies meant that he was constrained by the Hero Society. It's like, you'd be better off with us.
Right.
And
watching Bakugo, honestly, you'd think the same thing.
Yeah, but they don't realize that Bakugo is not wired that way. That he has an overwhelming drive to be a hero, to be like All Might in his own way. And yes, that he wants to win, and they tried to appeal to his. They do try to appeal to his sense of, to his desire for victory, by basically saying, the society is already starting to question whether the Hero Society really works. They're starting to turn on the heroes. And it's like, we're going to be the winners, so why not join the winning team? And Bakugo's just like, what was his line? It's like, go throw yourself into traffic.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, but during the summer camp arc, we saw Tokoyami's Dark Shadow go crazy.
Oh, it went absolutely ballistic.
Like full feral and...
Well, it was the combination of his inability to fully control him in the dark and his rage.
His own, like, righteous indignation kind of stuff at all this. And we also got introduced to the rest of the Vanguard Action Squad. There was Twice, who can basically create, like, slime copies of people. It's weird. I'm not entirely sure on how his power works exactly, but he is very entertaining as a character. I compared him very much to Deadpool.
I'm pretty sure he was
designed off that as well.
And heavily based off of, because again, the
split personality thing
is heavy into
Western
comics,
superhero comics,
especially Marvel.
He's a huge Marvel fan. I think he gets inspiration from both of the major ones, but Marvel especially.
Oh, yeah. No, he's actually said it in interviews, and his favorite Spider-Man.
Well, there you go. Best street-level superhero. But, and then there was Mr. Compress, who's basically like a stage showman, but like his name implies, he can compress things, including people, into like these little marbles, and he's the one who captures Bakugo. And then the 10th member of the team was a Nomu.
Yeah.
And I think I referred to that Nomu as like a toolbox because he can sprout extra arms that have like drills and chainsaws and stuff on them.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Very, very strange. We never saw him in action.
Which might be good.
Which might be good.
That means more people lived.
Mm-hmm. But in the end, it's like, while Deku and his friends managed to save Tokoyami, who also got compressed.
With the help?
With the help of...
no. I thought you knew his name.
Well, it's like we had Shoji and Shoto.
Naval Laser.
Oh, yeah, Naval Laser shows up, who had a bit of cowardice himself. Because he was just sort of panicking in the midst of everything, seeing all of his friends getting knocked out.
Naval Laser can do too much, let alone help him in that kind of a situation.
And Dabi almost, spotted him, but before he could do anything about it, Twice basically was like, "Hey, we need to get out of here."
No, he was like, "Hey, totally unimportant, but you want to call back that Nomu? I'm supposed to remind you of that."
And he was like, "Oh yeah," because the Nomu was programmed to respond to Dabi's voice.
Only Dabi.
And only Dabi.
Because they do, out of all the people, he's probably the most powerful out of all the ones that were sent there.
Well, and the other thing that they were trying to do, besides capture Bakugo, I'd forgotten about this, was to try to get their hands on some of the students' blood.
Also, they had some on the kill list.
Yeah, there was a kill list, and Deku was on it. But otherwise, they were also trying to get their hands on some of their blood. That's what Toga was there for. She had equipment that basically let her shoot syringes around to suck blood up into the thing. But due to circumstances, the only person's blood she got was Ochako's. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she's, let's talk about Toga. She's kind of entertaining, but she's yandere as fuck.
Oh yeah,
creepy stalker who has a crush on Stain, and seems to. And she
with Deku.
Well, no. Before we even talk about her thing with Deku, we need to talk about how she basically assumes that she and Ochako are friends.
No, she assumes that about her and Sue.
And Sue, that's right.
And she's like, "Oh, your name is Sue."
It's like, I only let my friends call me Sue. It's like, oh, so we're friends. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I fucking love that.
Oh, that was creepy as hell. But so the only person's blood she gets is Ochako. But yeah, as she's retreating from the scene when some of the other students show up, she's like, I don't like crowds. But then she spots Deku and is like, new crush.
She's like, oh, the lead of the series got a little
yeah. That was how you put it. It's like a main character.
Oh. Stain is so first season.
Yeah. Second season.
I think it was first season.
I think he was second season.
Was he second season?
Yeah, because
all this shit blends together for me because watching it over and over again.
He was definitely second season because it was first season culminated with the USJ attack. Second season is where Hosu City happened, and that's where Stain was confronted. But anyway, but eventually they've got Bakugo. They pass the word out, and Kurogiri basically opens warp gates and gets all of the villains out of there, except for Mustard, who got taken out by Tetsu and Kendo.
Yep.
Although we do need to note that his power, he knows how to use it pretty well, because he can basically, using the poison gas that he emits, he can also tell where people are due to the air vibrations and the turbulence they cause in the smoke. And he is just sort of like, that you may be superheroes in training, but you're still just people. And he uses a gun.
Yeah.
And he basically just sort of kept shooting Tetsu and to keep him down while he's ranting about UA especially.
Well, here's a interesting thing about he had some training, or else he wouldn't be that accurate with the gun. He was accurate with every shot hitting.
Yep. And they noted, and Tetsu noted that he was wearing a school uniform. Wasn't a UA uniform, but he was wearing a school uniform, which makes me wonder, did he go to one of the other hero academies? And it's just the fact that UA
and got rejected.
Yeah. and that's why he has a grudge against UA and its students. It's put him in touch with Monomo. Maybe they'll get along. But eventually, Tetsu does manage. Kendo uses her big fist power to just start swirling the gas around, distracting him long enough for Tetsu to get up and smash him in the face with a punch. And Tetsu proves that for all his aggression himself, he's not an idiot, because he's like, if a guy has to wear a mask, then he's not immune to his own gas.
Is that a fart joke?
Yeah, maybe. But at any rate, it was. And Moonfish, the creepy cannibal guy,
Jesus.
he was creepy as hell, but they managed to take him out, and Mustard, and Tokuyomi.
Because he was,
his dark shadow basically smashed him down.
Well, the thing was, he was like Todoroki and Bakugo were against him. And Bakugo not being able to use his power, and
because the guy was just too quick with his blade tooth.
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was he didn't want the whole forest to burn.
Oh, that's right. Because if Bakugo cut loose, then he would set the forest on fire,
killing his classmates,
and all of his classmates would then be in trouble.
Why can't I think of his name now? It just
Which one?
Blanked out.
Just mention Quirk, maybe I can.
Icy Hot.
Oh, Shoto, yeah.
Todoroki, thank you.
Yeah, Shoto Todoroki.
So Todoroki
is just basically throwing up ice walls, and even that was
stop him.
Yeah. And who's the third one that got captured? Muscular, that's right. Muscular, who finally got knocked out by Deku.
Yep.
And Deku, well, while he's recovering in the hospital, because he was unconscious for like 2 days, I think he said, after 2 or 3 days, and Recovery Girl did help with some of the healing, but the doctor eventually does tell Deku, it's like, look, you cannot keep doing this to yourself. It's, your ligaments will get ruined doing this, and if you wreck your arm like this even 2 or 3 more times, you're not going to be able to use your arm at all.
Yeah.
It's a pretty serious thing. But while all that's going on, while everybody's recovering in the hospital, Momo basically made a tracking device, which she gave to one of the 1B students, the weld guy.
They can weld stuff to people.
He can basically weld things together using, basically make the things, attached to one another. And he can detach them himself, but Momo gives him a tracker. He plants the tracker on the Nomu when it starts to retreat, so that they can track it back to wherever its lair is. Momo passes this information on to the police. And All Might. And Red Riot and one of the other students, I think Shoto, overheard her telling them this. And so while all the rest of the 1A students are come to visit Deku, they're like, we want to go try to rescue Bakugo.
We're gonna get a second tracker from Momo. And
get another receiver from Momo, who's with us. And Ida's just like, are you guys idiots? Because he remembers how much trouble they almost got in for using their quirks on Stain.
Yeah.
And
unlicensed heroes. Because
they still don't have their license yet. And furthermore, they're aware of how public opinion is starting to turn against UA. And it's like, if we do this, it's going to reflect badly on the school and the rest of our fellow students. We can't do that. And a bunch of the other students sort of chime in, and with Shoujo and Aoyama, Tokoyami, and Sue. They all basically are like, yeah, we can't. You guys need to think twice about this. And so they all seem to back down, but then Riot's basically like, yeah, we're still going to do this. I know you're like hardcore injured right now, but if you want to join in, we're meeting back here. We're meeting outside the hospital tonight. And Ida overhears it.
Oh, he was the last one out of the room. He still stood back and was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go ahead.
But while all that's going on, and Koda sends Deku a thank you note, also apologizes for punching him in the balls. But that's Koda. But the detective, I can't remember his name. I just always refer to him as detective in my notes. he basically calls up a bunch of the pro heroes, Endeavor, Best Jeanist, Gran Torino, Edgeshot, Gang Orca, Tiger, and a couple of others, Mount Lady and Kamui Woods. And because they're basically planning to do a raid on the League of Villains hideouts. But
so they got intel about Patchwork Guy going in and out of this one place.
Yeah, that's right. And here's where the pros basically prove, we're not just basically, reactionary. We can be proactive as well. And they bring in the police on this as well, so that it's like the proper authorities are getting involved as well. But they organize things with the UA staff. The UA, it's like the principal, Aizawa, and Vlad King hold a press conference to basically be like, yeah, we screwed up. That's on us. We underestimated the League of Villains. We put our students at risk. We need to do better, kind of thing. And there was this one reporter who was asking the perfect questions to turn the crowd.
Of course.
And also to try to get a rise out of Aizawa, who doesn't like the press.
Doesn't like the press. Doesn't like being seen.
Doesn't like public attention. And this was also designed to try to dupe the League of Villains into thinking they don't know. They're trying to play damage control. They're not in any position to take us on. Guess what? Nope.
Yeah.
And while Deku and it's Shoto, Red Riot, Momo, and Ida. Ida is just sort of like, I don't condone what you guys are doing, but I'm coming along because you guys have basically said you're not going to do any combat. This is going to be a stealth mission.
Oh no, he said I'm going with you because I'm going to make sure
that's what I was
get you guys out of that shit.
That was what I was getting to. It's like if I see see things starting to go wrong, I'm pulling you guys out. I'm being your watchman.
Now, what's the name of the other guy that was at the conference? It was the principal, Azawa,
and Vlad King, One B's teacher.
You know what's funny about that? You get the play on his name, right? King Vlad the Impaler,
yeah,
Dracula.
Uh-huh.
His ability is
like
blood hardening.
Yeah, I picked up on that. I was like, as soon as I saw the name Vlad King with the fangs and stuff that he had, I'm like, I bet he's got some sort of vampire style quirk. And then when they showed off his blood hardening ability, I was like, okay, yep, that's about what I expected. But so while Deku and his friends are using the tracker, thinking that they're going to find Bakugo, instead they find the Nomu Depot, essentially. And
come on down, you get yourself a Nomu, need yourself a Nomu. How many powers you want? 2 powers, 3 powers, 10 powers?
They basically see a bunch of like tanks with like liquid and they see like the brain things poking out of them with wires and stuff going in. But then it basically, and by this point, Bakugo has rejected the League of Villains offer to join them, and Shigaraki basically is just sort of like, let him go. I think, because he still tries to appeal to him, and when Twice lets him out, Bakugo just knocks him aside, blasts the hand off of Shigaraki's face, and still rejects them. And then suddenly there's a knock on the door. It's like pizza delivery, and then suddenly All Might smashes through the door. I am here.
He smashes through the side wall when everyone's looking at the door.
Smash! And just
pizza delivery, smash!
And Kamui Woods, uses his ability to just bind everybody up in wood. And when Dabi tries to use his power, Gran Torino just jets in, kicks him in the face, and knocks him out in one hit. And Edgeshot shows up, and he's like, we also have the police here. And when Shigaraki calls for Kuro to basically warp in the Nomu, Edgeshot uses his ability because he can fold himself basically like 2-dimensionally.
Oh yeah, he's nuts.
And he just pierces Kurogiri straight through the body with his own body folded up this way, and knocks him out.
I like how he's like, oh my god, what happened to him? He's like, I messed around with his organs. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And so it seems like they're, and All Might basically tries to talk them all down. Shigaraki just gets pissed off. And we see a flashback of him. We don't know the context yet. They mentioned his real name there, but I didn't catch all of it. I didn't catch what it was. But he's basically slumped there. I think there was some blood, on his face or whatever. And then suddenly we see a man wearing a suit. We don't see his face, but approaches him and tells him, "Don't worry, I am here for you." And I was immediately like, "Oh God, that's one for all, or all for one." And
well, the worst part was he's like, "Oh, don't worry, a hero come along." That's what they've been telling you, right?
Yeah.
As they go about their day and just leave you to be.
Yep, and it gives some insight into his into why he hates heroes so much. And then as Shigaraki just sort of screams about how much he hates All Might, suddenly portals start opening up and Nomu start coming through them.
They were like, "Edge, I thought you stopped." He was like, "I did." He's
he's still out. This isn't him. And no more being being portaled in outside where the cops are, where Endeavor is.
Like everywhere, because they're like, "Oh, Endeavor, we need to..." And then they notice all the Nomus.
And then back at the Nomu Depot, which is also being attacked by the police and the heroes, Mount Lady is there with Gang Orca and Best Jeanist. They manage to apprehend, capture a bunch of Nomu there, and then suddenly.
Well, also they found Ragdoll there.
They found Ragdoll, but something is, and even then Tiger, who was also there, I forgot to mention him. Tiger notes something's wrong with her, and then suddenly, All for One shows up, and he just sort of walks out of the shadows. Is just like, "I'm sorry, but her search quirk was just too good to pass up."
He needed a refill. He said,
"It's been a while since I've stocked up on quirks." Which makes him all the more terrifying if he can steal people's quirks. Best Jeanist tries to bind him up in his own suit using his Fiber Master ability, but it clearly doesn't work because the next time we see him,
he used the reason why he's covered in jeans is he uses the fibers from the jeans to
and because those are pretty, and because denim is a pretty strong fiber.
That's why he always uses denim.
Yep. But next time we see All for One, the Nomu Depot is wrecked, and All for One
like an atom bomb went off.
Deku and his friends there are just paralyzed with fear, on the verge of vomiting. They got
knocked the fuck out first.
Yeah.
They got knocked down from that huge explosion.
And there's All for One floating there, amidst the smoke, and it's just like, on that day we felt death.
Yeah, that was the little...
And I'm just like, oh, shit. Shit about to get real. And it's like, I have a feeling we're about to see All Might versus All for One, which means I might get to see that United States of Smash move that I keep hearing about. But it's, if this guy can steal quirks, that's really, really, really bad news. Because it's not copying quirks like Monoma. It's just straight up, yoink, mine now.
Oh, I remember what they said early on in the show, that he can give quirks too. Mm-hmm. So he gave his seemingly powerless little brother a stockpiling quirk.
Mm. And that was the origin of One for All.
But then he had, his real quirk was he had the ability to pass on.
And since that stockpiled with One for All, he passed it on to somebody. Their quirk got added to...
And they told a friend, and they told a friend.
Well, not quite, but it's like they passed the One for All on, which, because it was a stockpiling quirk, took along his pass-on ability, plus, and then it's just sort of it's been acquiring quirks along the way. It's just, in Deku's case, it's not going to gain another quirk along with it. I'm wondering what All Might's original quirk was.
Didn't you say he was quirkless?
I don't think so. It's one of those things you could look it up better than I. You could look it up. I don't want to look it up because I don't want to get exposed to any more spoilers.
They're like 4 big mangas away right now, so I might spoil myself on something else.
That's fair. Okay, but yeah, this is shit getting real. It's like season 3. It's like that's when you start reaching culmination of long-term storylines and a lot of these sorts of things.
Oh, if you think it's going to slow down anytime
I'm not expecting it to slow down anytime soon, but it's definitely like,
when you hit
boy.
season 4.
And that'll be after we watch a couple of the movies, I think.
Do you think that the League of Villains is formidable?
Yes.
What if I were to tell you they ain't shit compared to the next group coming up in the next season?
Well, then that's gonna be a hell of a thing to see. But yeah,
we also get to see other schools. I don't remember if it's. I think it's towards the end of this season or the beginning of the next season.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's like schools. UA is still going to be the focus because that's where the protagonists are. But we know there are other hero academies out there. It's just UA is the top one because that was All Might's alma mater, and he's the symbol of peace.
Yep. Along with almost everyone else that's in the top 10.
Yeah, which would understandably make it very
they mentioned
exclusive.
Endeavor, you were an alumni of here too, which is also why I'm sure he wanted to pull strings for Todoroki, but Todoroki got in there on recommendation, so maybe that was Endeavor got him in on
I'm sure it probably was. And it's just like you're the number 2 hero, you're a graduate. Yeah, if you want to send your son here, we'll happily take him. And it's understandable why they didn't have him take part in the practical entrance exam, because he would have just one-shot everything.
So what do you think about some of the villains that there are right now?
Of the ones that didn't get captured, I'm still curious about what Toga's quirk is going to be. But her whole creepy yandere vibe.
Maybe that's her quirk.
I don't think so. Twice is entertaining as hell.
Okay.
There's got to be some limitation to whatever his quirk is that allows him to make copies, because it was clear that he used his quirk to make a copy of Dabi, because that was one of the things that was revealed when Dabi tried to one-shot Aizawa. Aizawa was quick enough to dodge it and then cancel out his quirk, bind him up, but then suddenly the Dabi that he was fighting just melts into like slime.
That's and then we thought it was the sludge monster from season 1.
Yeah, and so then it was clearly Twice was the one who did it, and Twice then copied him again, and this other Dabi copy went to go try to take out Vlad King and the other students.
I just love his power. His power to be psychotic.
What, Twice? Yeah. His whole split personality thing. It's like, I know who they are. Who are they?
Or the one where he's like,
"Hey, you're tight. You're Kami Woods. You're binding me too tight. Harder." It's weird. Dabi is smart. That's the thing that's going to make him dangerous.
Also, I don't know if they. I can't remember what his actual quirk is.
What, Dabi?
Yeah, it's a special kind of fire.
Well, it's blue, so we know it burns hotter.
Yeah.
Or at least it burns hot all the time.
So
not like Endeavor's, is like normal, like orange fire, but he can crank it up to like white hot, like he did to the Nomu and Hosu.
He blew the damn thing's head off.
He's like, go ahead and regenerate from that. Well, because he cauterized the flesh, so that would do a lot. But Spinner is one of those ones. He like you pointed out last time, he patterns himself off of Stain,
like heavily.
Yeah, very heavily.
Also, they mentioned something in one of the episodes. It's like, well, what is your power? What is your ability?
Well, no, it was Mandalay was trying to question him on it, and then before he could answer, Magna, yanked her off of him. And
I don't think he actually has a power.
Magni?
No.
Spinner?
Does. Spinner.
I think his quirk is probably just his physical mutation.
Yeah.
Although we have seen evidence of people who have physical mutations who still then have another quirk, like Tokoyami.
That is true, yeah.
And it's still not clear what's going on with Principal Nezu, whether he is just a person that
they said
has a physical mutation.
They said he was tested on by humans, so I'm wondering
if he's like an uplifted animal that has a quirk.
He hates humanity.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, it was, shit's getting real. All for One has taken the field.
So what kind of powers do you think All for One has currently?
Too many.
That's an understatement.
I may have glimpsed something once about that showed a list of his powers, and I'm like, I'm gonna look away now. But it was an extensive list.
Oh yeah, because he mentioned some of them in the show, but I mean,
like regeneration, I think was one of the ones that he grabbed, and
of course.
And something that like extends that extends his life, so that he doesn't age anymore, I think.
If you could steal and stockpile quirks, wouldn't those be a couple of the first ones?
Oh yeah, it would be
regeneration and vulnerability in a sense.
Invulnerability would be nice, but regeneration would be a good one, especially if it's anything like a Wolverine style regeneration. I think in a previous Bingecast when we were talking like quirks, like what quirk would you want to have? I mean, a stockpiling quirk like that would be pretty cool to have. But the one I think I mentioned would be like just a teleportation thing. But now it's just sort of like, now that it's been confirmed, there are quirks out there that let people steal powers. That would probably be the one I'd go for. Just because it's just sort of like, this way I don't have to... this way I can just pick and choose which ones
Basically,
I want.
what you want to do is, with that power, not let anyone know you have it throughout your entire life. Get a job as a guard at a high security prison for supervillains.
And then it's just sort of like, mine.
Just walk by and go, alright, come get your food. And then you always pass out the food, but when the one grabs it that you want the power, pull it through and go bop.
It depends on how long physical contact you need for it to work. We don't know enough about, or at least it hasn't been revealed yet, about how his quirk works exactly. Whether it's just sort of like, and then, a simple little tap and then he's got it, or if it's like prolonged contact. Because there has to be a drawback to quirks and stuff. Well, while we're talking about quirks and drawbacks, we should talk briefly about Momo, because when they arrive in Camino District, which is another Star Wars reference. This is a thing that we've been pointing out, that they keep throwing in Star Wars references with the names of various locations in all this. There was Tatooine District, Dagobah Beach, and a bunch of other stuff like that. And this one, it's Camino District of whatever prefecture that they were in. Camino being a planet from the prequel trilogies where the clones were developed.
Oh, that makes sense for where the clones are right now.
The Nomu, yeah. Hey,
they're playing it right.
Yeah, that's right. But because but Deku and his friends realize the villains all know what we look like. If we can't be seen, we can't really be seen, and so Momo suggests disguising themselves, and so she takes them on a quick little shopping trip. They all dress up as supposed to be like just scoundrels and miscreants sort of thing. Deku was like Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
Spike.
And he was channeling his Bakugo as part of his disguise. Just like, what are you looking at, Puck? And then it's like Riot was just sort of like, why did you take us shopping when you could have just created?
Was it?
Yeah. It was either him or it was either somebody in the group basically asked, why not just make the costumes for us? And she was like,
might have been Shoto then.
And she was just sort of like, well, he made some sort of comment about how bad it would be for the economy if she did that. And I'm just like, that's actually a valid point about that kind of power.
Well, she should have just said, it would have made me weaker because I need to have...
Well, yeah, but it was partly a joke because it's just like she wanted to go on a shopping trip. Because she's a rich girl wanted to go on a shopping trip.
Let her go on a shop. She bought clothes for friends.
But come on, yeah, exactly. But it's... I'm glad that she points out the drawbacks of, or the ways that her power could be abused.
Yep.
by somebody less scrupulous, that they could basically make a bunch of gold or something, and how devastating that would be to the economy if they were to suddenly flood the market with gold. And
Well, it just means you're a villain.
well, that was another thing. When Ida and some of the other classmates were calling them, Sue was basically pointing out, it's like, doing what you're, going against the rules when you know that you're breaking them. That's not hero behavior. That's villain behavior.
And everyone like that.
And that made everybody shut up and go quiet. They were like, "Damn,
Sue, stop being so smart."
Well, but Deku on the train as they were heading to Camino District, Deku was sort of remembering All Might's words is like meddling in places even when you shouldn't is the essence of being a hero. And so he's getting like conflicting things, and it's good that they're having that sort of conflict to try to question their convictions and everything. But at the same time, it's like, But yeah, I think that's. Unless there's anything else you would like to add. That's a no. So
actually.
Well, okay.
I just don't want to draw too much attention to it if you didn't notice it.
But go ahead.
The interaction in the woods between Dabi and Todoroki.
What about it?
When he reached out and went for the... I think it was when he reached out for the marble.
The Bakugo marble.
They made eye contact like they knew each other, almost. Or like unknowing, like, oh, do I know you kind of look.
I imagine that Dabi definitely knows who Shoto is, if only because of the UA Sports Festival.
Look in his eyes.
And maybe there is something there. Maybe he's another, like, maybe he's one of the rejected Endeavor children.
I made that correlation long ago thinking, well, because you look at the scarring. Mm-hmm. The grafting on his face.
The skin grafts all over his face and hands.
That's everywhere that Endeavor has the fire on his face.
Huh. That's a good point. I hadn't considered that.
I'm wondering.
Dabi is definitely an interesting character. I hope that they explore a little bit more.
Like I said, he's one of my favorite villains. The thing that my big theory, and I haven't read any forward in the manga at all, that
because you like the show more than that.
I think he is the eldest
Endeavor child.
Todoroki.
Yeah, Todoroki. Because we don't know what his real name is. We only know him by the name of Dabi.
His dad wanted the perfect meld of the two quirks, but he still wanted to impress his dad at a young age that he kept burning hotter and hotter and hotter until he developed the blue flame. And he's probably wanted to look like his dad. Like, I can be like you, Dad. Look at me. And just went molten with his fire, showing, and it would show that his fire burns differently than Endeavor's if it burns his own face.
Yeah. And he didn't have the required secondary powers. It's like, did you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Not a lot of it.
Did you see season 1?
Yes. You
remember the character Scorch? He was the fire guy. Well, while he could control fire, there was a necessary secondary part to his ability that made him immune to his own fire. And then when Project Centipede found him and basically extracted whatever it was from his blood that protected him from his body, that protected him from his own flames, suddenly when he channeled his fire, he was burning himself. It's like, there are a lot of cases where people have the required secondary powers so they don't get burned by their own.
He could burn the trees without any problems, it seemed like. I'm just wondering if he just went way too hot when he did it.
When he was younger, maybe, before he learned control. But it's like Shoto is immune to his own flames, and he can control his flames to the point where he doesn't burn off his own uniform.
Yep. We
saw that in the sports festival when he finally started channeling his fire. He wasn't like burning off that side of his uniform. It's like his own flames he's protected against, but somebody like his mother, well, or rather like getting water thrown on his boiling water or whatever thrown on his face is different.
Well, he's a fire and ice bender, but he's not a waterbender, so he couldn't prevent it from getting...
Well, ice bending is usually just something that waterbenders do anyway in the Avatar series. Which is just reminding me, I need to sit down and actually watch Legend of Korra at some point. But that's for another thing. I doubt we'll do a binge cast for it because we have enough stuff on the list as it is.
Oh yeah. I want to get through this.
Yeah, you want to get through
to season 4, damn it.
Yeah, because I think you're basically saying that's where some more badass villains start showing up.
Oh yeah, I didn't think it could get too much worse
after All for One in the League of Villains.
Yeah, and then I saw there was an article before season 4 came out. Oh yeah, these are the new villains, and I was like, oh well, fuck.
Well, we'll be getting to that at some point, but that wraps up this edition of the Bingecast. So, for Sam, I am Jay, and we'll see you after the next binge. Thanks for listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast. Be sure to check out our library of past podcasts via CKCC Radio or via our YouTube channel, and give us a like and subscribe. We'll see you after our next binge.